Hi guys, and a very warm welcome onto this video series on Reveal Sounds Spire. Now this is an updated video series from the original Spire, and now we're working on the latest version, which is 1.5.11. That's the build version. If you need to update your Spire, you can just click on menu here and go check for update, and it will take you to the Spire website, the Reveal Sound website, to download the latest version. Okay, so Spire is a 4 oscillator synthesizer with a huge amount of flexibility. It's got a very kind of modern architecture with huge amounts of possibilities for kind of routing things around and creating very complex sounds. But it also, at its core, has a great kind of sound to it. And it, in that way, kind of joins together the best of both worlds in terms of digital and analog. So a really kind of solid sound with the flexibility of a kind of modern digital synthesizer. Okay, so in this first video, what we're going to do is look at the interface, which I like to do early on, so we're aware of where everything is, because it can be a little bit overwhelming when you first open up a new synthesizer, new plugin. But if you just kind of break it down and chunk it into the different sections, I find that that can actually really help. So that's what we're going to cover in the first video. Okay, so we'll start up at the top left here. Now, to locate the preset browser, we can either click on the preset name. This is just an initialized patch, which means it's going to be kind of emptied out to just be a basic sawtooth wave. But you can see we have all the library presets organized into folders here, so we can just click on one, load it up, and as I said, if we want to initialize a sound, we can just click on initialize here, and if we click on this again, we'll come out of the library presets. We can kind of move left and right between presets as well. Okay, so now moving across, we have a menu here which has got various different items in. We just looked at when we talked about check for update. Initialize, we know, is just to reset the batch. Then we have a little help and display here, which will show, as you see here, parameters and their values. Now moving across this top bar, we have the mode, the play mode. So we've got kind of polyphony here, essentially. We're going to come back to all of this as the video series progresses. Number of voices we're playing, and also MIDI learn, so we can route controllers to affect parameters. Okay, now moving downwards onto this kind of main pane. Still, we've got the 4 oscillators here, which we can click on to change parameters, 4 identical oscillators. So the oscillator section then passes into these 2 sections here, which is unison and mix. This is where we can stack up voices, detune voices, and also the mix section allows us to produce a wider sound, pan the oscillators, and decide which filter they're going to pass through. We also have a mix section here to mix the respective levels of the 4 oscillators. The next section here is the filter section. We have 2 filters. You can see cutoff 1 and 2, resonance 1 and 2. The output of the filters is then going to pass through this effects section here, which then passes down into the master out section here, which has got an extra EQ on there as well, and this cool kind of X-comp effect as well. Now, located down here, we have all of our modulators. So by clicking on these little buttons down here, we can decide whether we want to see envelopes. You can see we have envelopes 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 located on the next little section here. We can use this to set parameters for our LFOs. We also have a stepper here as well, and you can see there's a second stepper here. And also for this second section of modulators here, we have an arpeggiator. Let's just go back to the envelopes here. Now, located to the side of each one of these modulator sections, we have a quick kind of source and target, a quick modulation matrix stripped down. So you can just quickly set a modulation routing, because for a lot of sounds, simple sounds, you don't want to have, multiple different modulation routings potentially. So if you just quickly want to say, route the envelope to affect the pitch of one of the oscillators or the filter in a different way, you can set that from here. But if you want to do more complex routings or more of them, you do have a fully spec'd up modulation matrix here as well with multiple pages to it. So you can really go to town and create kind of huge evolving sounds by routing modulation sources to affect targets. And then moving across to the left here, we have undo and redo and our macros, where you can have 4 controllers that can control multiple parameters at the same time. So we could route mod 1 to say affect the filter, detune, reverb, all simultaneously. And then we also have pitch bend, modulation wheel here, transposition, and also micro tuning. And that basically covers the nuts and bolts of the interface of the plugin. Okay, so let's have a little recap. So preset browser over here, the top kind of menu bar up here, we have our menu, initialize patch, this display which shows us the status of parameters, their levels, etc. Polyphony modes here, number of voices, MIDI learn. We then have oscillators, the unison section, mixing here, and the 4 mix styles for each one of the oscillators, filters 1 and 2, effects section, output section, and then our 2 modulation sections here, where we have access to envelopes, LFOs, stepper, and also an arpeggiator at the end of the second one. And remember, there's a modulation matrix here should we want to set up multiple modulation routings, or we have just a quick access to modulation routings via these two little sections here. Macro controls, pitch bend modulation, and transposition and tuning located on the left. Okay, so now we've covered the interface, so we know how the plugin is set up. In the next video, we're going to head across and look at the oscillators. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.